This is Dan from Ramblin' Ambition. Today we are going to put on our set of super springs for the van. So these Sprinter vans come with a mono leaf spring in the back. Some of them have a helper spring on top of it. Ours does not, it just has the mono spring. And so we're going to add super springs to kind of help the van do its job, the suspension do its job once we put all the weight in it. Is this something you're interested in? Please stick around for the video. The installation is pretty simple. We don't have to disassemble anything. The super spring kind of goes right on top of the leaf pack. It's designed specifically to do that. And we'll unbox the springs that we have and then kind of show you how we're going to go about installing them. It's a pretty simple process, shouldn't take too long. Overall, it should help the van bear the weight of all the stuff we're going to put inside of it so that the suspension doesn't sag in the back. We are looking at the summo springs themselves, which are kind of like the replacement bump stop, but it has kind of an energy component to it to kind of help with the sway or suspension compression. But I want to do the super springs first, and then we'll kind of evaluate things once we get the van loaded. All right, so this is the box that came from Super Springs, so we'll go ahead and open that up real quick and show you what's inside. We had a set of instructions. Their logo, Journey Better, and the actual springs themselves. So you get two springs, and they're made, this kit, which is the SSA 55, is made for Sprinter vans and these application ranges. So 4x4 and 4x2, depending on what you have for the 2500, 3500 vans. And it even goes into some of the older applications. What you get in the kit are the blocks, and these are gonna sit on top of the leaf spring perch. The springs themselves, clamp kit that clamps the spring to the perch. And then if you have multi-leaf packs, you have to use this to compress the multi-leaves together. We just have a mono spring in ours, so we don't need this. The way this works is basically these rotate underneath the leaf spring, and then you position this bolt to determine how much pressure you want to put on the spring pack that you have. Most of the installs I've seen puts this in the middle, and so that's going to be where we install it. So the next step for us is we're going to jack the rear of the van up and then take the tires off. Some of the tools that you're going to need for this installation is a floor jack, a set of jack stands, an impact wrench with a 19mm socket, and that is for the wheel studs, a torque wrench to torque them back, a 3/4 inch socket for the shackle bolts with a 3/4 inch wrench, and then a 9/16 socket and wrench for the retaining bolts on the clips. So the first thing we're going to do is, now that we got it jacked up, we're going to take the wheels off with the impact. Okay, so you can see this piece right here, that's where that black plastic pocket's gonna sit, and then the spring will sit on top of it. So we're gonna take the block with the cutout facing the brake drum, and then we're gonna set our spring on top of it. Now you can see we're a little too tight to the body, so that's the point of the jack stand, so that you can lower the rear axle to be able to get the super spring in place. All right, so the weight of the vehicle is sitting on the jack stands in line with the hitch that's attached to the frame, and then the axle is just barely sitting on the floor jack. And now we have plenty of room to start to attach our stuff and get the spring centered. All right, now that we got the pack, the super spring sitting on the pad itself, we're gonna take the retention clamp, and that slides into the pack, into that metal piece that's right there on the bottom, and slide it so it comes all the way through. And then we're going to take that bolt that comes with the hardware, we're going to insert it from the bottom, and then just thread the nut on, and we'll tighten that up later. So this is what connects the pack to the actual block itself. From here, we have to get a clamp to clamp this down, to get it down underneath the spring pack. And we're gonna try the bottom hole first because that's what they suggest. So we're gonna do that right now. So since the back one is already where it needs to be, we're gonna make this assembly go together. So you have the bolt, and then there's a sleeve, and then there's a poly roller. And that's what goes underneath the spring to allow it to move as the suspension moves. And in the installation of these springs, you want the bolts to be facing away from the frame. So we're going to put that in. The metal sleeve goes into that, and that just goes into the clamp itself, into the shackle. Feed the bolt in. And then just lightly put that on there. So now that's fixed firmly against the rear spring, and so we'll get a C-clamp and pull the front side down. All right, so I went back to my original plan, which was to put this in the second hole, so you just need a couple clamps. All right, so we got that set on the second level. We've got that tightened down. They didn't give a torque spec for this, so I just tightened it so that it was nice and tight. The torque spec on this shackle bolt is only 35 foot-pounds, so it's not a lot to tighten it down, because this has got to be able to kind of move as the suspension moves. So there's not a lot of torque here, and then you don't do anything with that one. That one's set from the factory. So we're gonna go ahead and torque these down to 35 foot-pounds. We did the other side. It's the same exact insulation as this passenger side, so we went ahead and just did it all at once, so we can torque everything down together. All right, we're all finished. Now, you may notice that the brake line is sitting in between the two springs. And the reason for that is when I tried to take the brake line and put it on the top of the spring, it was really rubbing really hard on the edge and putting a lot of pressure right here. So they make a really nice extended brake line kit, which will give us some clearance issues, or which will solve the clearance issues. And so we're gonna order those and get those installed. In the meantime, we're just gonna put a piece of hose on top of this so that there's no chafe on it in the short term. We're not gonna be driving it a whole lot for now because we're working on it. So it'll be fine for right now, but don't be worried. This isn't gonna stay like that. The torque spec on these is 177 foot-pounds. So we're gonna do it in 3 stages, 130, 150, and then we'll do 175. And yeah. That was the install of our Super Springs. So pretty simple. Don't be intimidated if you don't have all of the tools. You can rent them at your local auto parts dealer. Everything from the C-clamps to the torque wrench and socket sets, whatever it is. Chances are if you're into doing this kind of stuff, you have those kind of basic tools. But if not, they're not really expensive with the exception of like the impact gun and the torque wrench. But you don't have to have those things. You can do everything with a regular socket wrench if you need to. So pretty simple, easy install. Like I said, we are gonna get extended brake lines. I'm gonna do a brake job on this thing anyway, because I'm gonna upgrade the brakes. So we'll do all that at one time, because we are gonna be carrying, a heavy load in this all the time. So we wanna have the maximum braking capacity that we can have. So quick, simple, easy install. Hope you guys got something from the video. Please like, share, subscribe. We thank you so much for coming back to the channel. If you're interested in any of the products that we used, there'll be a link in the description below. We are an Amazon affiliate. So if you want some of those things for your van, please consider using our affiliate link. It doesn't cost you any more, but it does help us out. Again, this is Dan from Rambling Ambition, and we'll see you next time.